branding, and brand ecosystem universe, I think an integral part of that is also community. So I'm very, very happy that Bella Neyman, who's the founder of New York City Jewelry Week, could make it all the way to Munich. And Bella, you're going to be sharing a little bit about community. What does building community mean across jewelry genres?
Yes.
So not just looking at people as being potential clients, but of thinking even larger.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Give me a second while I open my water, if I can. Let's see. Can I? All right. Laurent, you might have to help me with that. Sorry. We have twist caps in the U.S. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. My name is Bella Neyman. I'm the founder of New York City Jewelry Week, which I will be telling you all about. Let me just, so I am a jewelry curator, a writer, as well as the founder of the festival, which is now in its 9th year. The festival takes place in November. This year, our dates are November 16th through the 22nd. And I'm really delighted to be here this afternoon to speak to you all. This is probably my 12th or 13th time in Munich. I typically attend Munich Jewelry Week, but I've never been to INHORGENTA, so I was really excited and pleased when Laurent invited me to come and speak to you. I've always been very curious about this show. So the topic of my talk today is called Creating Community Across Jewelry Genres. And what does it take to really bring a jewelry community together for 1 week out of the year? Of course, we have trade shows such as this one, right, where we all get together, we learn from one another, we're exposed to all of these incredible designers and to see the tools and the manufacturers. New York City Jewelry Week is quite different from that, and I will tell you all about it. So this is our mission here. We believe in jewelry for all. We are a values-driven organization, and the festival really came about because we wanted to create a platform that would, to be honest, would support emerging designers, independent designers, and to provide them with a platform through which they can sell their work. So unlike a trade show, the festival is really aimed to consumers. It is meant to be a way for them to discover new talent, but also at the same time, we do have a lot of established brands that come and participate, because quite often we know the name of a brand, but we don't know what they stand for. We don't know what inspires them, how their jewelry is made. So really, this is a platform for discovery. It's also a platform for education, because we really believe that consumers need to be, I don't want to say they need to be educated, but when they are exposed to talent, when they get to interface with the people who both ideated the piece, but then also made it, it lights a flame in them, right? It gets them excited. And we all share this passion for jewelry. And earlier on, there was a question here today during the press preview, how do we involve consumers? And so for us, education is one way that we get consumers, but we've also provide an opportunity for emerging designers to learn, so they too can educate themselves about either it could be workshops throughout the city, if you will, or it's even just to meet other designers as well, right? And let's not forget that if you make jewelry and you love jewelry, then you also buy jewelry, right? Why not? But also, over the course of the last 9 years, we've also made sure that we are a platform that stands for inclusivity. So we have and we'll talk about in a little bit, but we have an award that's geared to the BIPOC community. And we also have a platform where we help and mentor emerging designers as well. So how do we build community? Well, as I mentioned, the festival is not located in one space. So unlike a trade show, we actually have events that take place throughout the city. We have talks, exhibitions, pop-ups, workshops. Here it says we have 120 plus events. Last year we had 140 events take place throughout the city. And these events are all free and open to the public, right? So the model is that if you live in New York, you really can sort of, the goal is that you will stumble upon a Jewelry Week event in your neighborhood, or perhaps in an institution that you are already a member of, or a school. And then we also, as I mentioned, we have initiatives like Here We Are, which is our initiative that supports the BIPOC community, One for the Future, is about mentorship. But also, we want to make sure that if people are unable to travel to New York, they can also discover designers who, that we're fond of, who we're tracking. So we have something called a Discover page, and this is a curated page where we invite individuals to select jewelers that they are inspired by, so we can again bring their work to a broader public. And then recently, we've also started jewelry education. So this actually takes place outside of the festival because it is another way for us to continue building community and making sure that, we continue having these conversations throughout the year, not just during the festival itself. So here I selected just, different types of events for you to see that the focus of the festival is all types of jewelry. So it's fine jewelry, contemporary jewelry, vintage and antique jewelry, art jewelry. Over the past 9 years, we have partnered with numerous brands from Muso Emerald, Muso Columbia Emerald, to De Beers, to eBay, to independent designers. And this is just to give you a sense of the types of jewelry that you might come across. So for example, while the festival takes place in New York, it is quite international, and we welcome people from all over the world. We have an application that opens on April 1st, and so people can apply to be part of the festival. And so, for example, these are just some, of some different events. We had Wallace Chan present one of his books, as well as a series of his butterflies. We partnered with Muso. We actually partnered with them in a really lovely way. They provided emeralds to a group of designers that we selected and allowed these designers to have access to stones that they might not, have otherwise. And so they created a collection with these emeralds, and then we hosted a beautiful exhibition and a shopping event for them at a local jewelry store called Greenwich Street Jewelers, which has been in New York for 50 years. We've partnered with pawn shops, right? So for us, it is very much about expanding our footprint. We've also just this past year welcomed the curator from London who hosted an exhibition called Recrafted, where she herself invited a group of designers who were all repurposing antique pieces of jewelry to create something new. So as you can see, we try to, the breadth of what we show is quite varied. But we also partner with schools. These are just a couple of different examples of exhibitions that we've hosted at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, which has a jewelry and metals department. And actually, one year we showed the work of Helen Britton, who is a Munich-based jeweler. We also posthumously showed the work of a Tai Hen, another Munich-based jeweler. And then right above, I don't have a pointer, or maybe this, let's see. Right above there, we just this past year hosted an exhibition on costume jewelry, where we invited different stylists to pull pieces from a collection of costume jewelry, and each one of the stylists got to sort of dress a mannequin in their own aesthetic as well. But then we've used this space, this is in the library building actually at Pratt, we've used this space again to show all different kinds of jewelry, because the idea is to get the students in the school really excited about whether it's, if they're interested in making fine jewelry, as you see above here, that is 10,000 Things, to New York City-based designers, to an international showing of contemporary jewelry. Really, the goal is to show that all of this is on the same level, if you will. Whether you're interested in art jewelry or costume jewelry, I sometimes feel that for consumers, these are not terms that are so important. These are terms that we as people in the industry, we've sort of outlined and we have these definitions, but I really believe that for consumers, it's about buying what you love. We speak so much about storytelling. We speak so much about, jewelry as a passion, jewelry as something that's there for your most special moments with you throughout your life. It's something that you pass on. So, we don't say, oh, you pass on contemporary jewelry or you pass on fine jewelry. No, you pass on the things that are meaningful to you. And so that is why when we curate the week, we make sure that we don't focus on the genres. We focus on good jewelry. We focus on individuals that have really something unique to say with their work. So again, here are just some other, examples of exhibitions that we have hosted in the past. We have a lot of schools that come from really all over the world, whether it's Mexico or London, or this is Mass Art in Massachusetts, because all of these schools really use the festival as a platform to show the work of their students, whether they're masters or undergrad, but it's also an opportunity for their students to see what is happening as well, not just in New York, but on a global scale because of the different types of exhibitions that we have. So my most favorite exhibitions that take place during the week, and when I say exhibitions, that's not to say that these pieces are not available for sale. It's really because all of the, I don't like the word trunk show, right? I don't like this idea of like a traveling salesman, like pulling jewelry, out of your trunk. Although we have had some cool exhibitions where people open like their jacket pockets and there was, jewelry or watches. So that's happened too. But what I really seek out is individuals who are very thoughtful in how they present their work. And so for me, the most exciting exhibitions and events that take place throughout Jewelry Week is when we get to place jewelry in spaces where they might not normally be otherwise. So for example, here, this is the work of Fadi Genesi. She is a California-based jeweler. She's actually a lapidary artist. And so we placed her work in a stone cutting facility that actually serves the decorative, the interior design industry. They produce stone for kitchens, for bathrooms, and they had this great exhibition space. And so she was really able to come in and speak about not only her work, but also to create an installation where one can hear how stone was being cut. It became like a performance art, if you will. And by doing so, we're also inviting a new audience to the festival, right? So you may be coming into the space to buy tile for your kitchen, but now you are confronted and you're introduced to someone who's making jewelry in the same way or with maybe the same even type of stone that you are using in your interiors. So here are just some other examples, and probably one of the most popular questions that we get is, well, for people who are coming to Jewelry Week, how do they find spaces where to exhibit their work? Do you help them find spaces? And so, yes, that is one of our challenges. On one hand, New York, has vast real estate, but on the other hand, for us, it's not just about, dropping an exhibition in the middle of nowhere. We want to make sure that there is a story to tell between the work that the artist is making and the space that's hosting them. But we're also always thinking about audience engagement and making sure that this work gets seen by an audience that will appreciate it. So we've partnered with some really beautiful spaces. We've partnered with auction houses, for example, that might not typically show, let's say, in this case, contemporary art jewelry. This is an exhibition that was hosted last year. It was called Dandelions. And it was very funny because I spent quite a bit of time with the artist. His name is Stephen KP, looking for a space. And then finally, I called him up and I said, okay, I have a space for your show, but you're going to have to share it with another artist. And he said, who? I said, Picasso. Would that be okay? And so he was just like, Are you serious? So as you can see that on the walls of this auction house, there were these really beautiful tapestries by some very prominent blue chip artists. And in the middle of the room, we had this beautiful exhibition that was curated by KP. So these are some other examples because we always want to really think about, we want to think about the audience for the work. And so we are very mindful in terms of the partnerships that we also seek out and then we help secure on behalf of the jewelers. So here are just some examples of spaces that have hosted exhibitions throughout Jewelry Week. We've had clothing shops, design galleries. We had an optical store. We had a gallery that focused on illuminated manuscripts. And so really, that's why the title of my talk is Building Connection and Community Across Genres, not just jewelry genres, but really speaking to people who are interested in art, in design. So these are just, some other examples of work that we show and spaces. We really try to sort of take over the city in a beautiful and meaningful way. And we've built some really wonderful partnerships over the years that we've been hosting the festival. I have to say that probably the most challenging point for us has been the pandemic, because in 2020, we were just 3 years old. And so how do you create an event where you're so heavily invested in the city, where you are so focused on gathering? As you can see, we take great pride in all of these events and making sure that they're beautifully curated, and so in 2020, we really had to pivot. And what we did is we took the festival online. So many of us, right, our entire lives went online. But that actually also allowed us to expand our audience for the festival. We launched a YouTube channel for New York City Jewelry Week. And even now, 6 years later, we are still very active on that YouTube channel. So while the festival is in person, right, I said we have 140 events. While it's in person, we also have a virtual program as well. So we work very hard to make sure that we actually pre-record about a dozen talks. Dr. Laurent Cartier, who invited me to participate, just did a talk for us this past year. And so there is also a virtual program. So if you're unable to make it to the week in person, you can tune into our YouTube channel, where we make sure that the talks are as lively as engaging as the ones in person, but they also follow the same theme that our in-person events do. So every year we do have a theme, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Here are just some other examples. I mentioned that while the week takes place in New York, it's quite international. We've been working with different consulates to, really bridge relationships. And here are just a couple of examples. This is from this past year. We've worked with the Ukrainian Institute. We've worked with the Swedish consulate, because they see New York City Jewelry Week as a really wonderful opportunity to bring their artists to New York, to provide exposure for their work. And again, you can see even by the work that's on view, how different and how distinct it is. So we also work very closely with the Dutch consulate, and for the last almost 5 years, the Dutch consulate has been supporting exhibitions of their artists as well. And so it's relationships like this, right, that have been incredibly meaningful to the festival. Like here at the show, there are different pavilions: the French pavilion, the Romanian, the presence from Romanian jewelers. So for us, it's very important as well, because I do believe that we all share a common language, not just jewelry, but craftsmanship. And so it's really wonderful when we can come together and sort of have open conversations about, I don't want to say trends, when we have open conversations about our work. So these conversations and these exhibitions have been very meaningful. I mentioned to you that we've also done work with we've shown the work of a German artist. This is actually the work of Helen Britton. She's based in Munich, although she's Australian. But a couple of years ago, we debuted a film by her in New York, or a film about her, I should say. And we were really proud to have it. It was the only U.S. venue for the film, which was shown quite extensively throughout Germany. And then Helen herself came and presented her work as well. So it was a really beautiful moment. And we value these types of cultural exchanges as well. And also, to be honest with you, for us in the States, it's very exciting to have international artists come as well, whose work we may not be able to see on a regular basis, right? So we're very pleased to have Helen come. And then, I keep saying that the festival is international, but we also do a lot to support what is happening in New York. And that is, of course, 47th Street and the Diamond District more broadly. The event is for consumers, but we also have individuals from the trade attend as well. And so you would think that, 47th Street or the Diamond District, it's open to all. People might know where to go to get a stone set or to get something cast, but that's actually not true. So for us, creating a week that really opens doors isn't just for consumers, but for the industry as well. And this past year, we hosted a day in the Diamond District where we went to visit the GIA. It was for the first time that they opened their doors and people can come in and really get to see what happens behind doors, how the grading reports are written. We also had people visit different diamond dealers. We also visited William Goldberg Diamonds and learned about what goes on there. So it's really about providing access to people. And, I've been hearing a lot about trust and transparency, and doing something like this where you open doors, where you invite everyone in, it absolutely builds trust and transparency, where you can have these conversations about the industry. So it's funny, when I look at this picture, it's like everybody was going crazy taking photos of all of these loose stones because, you don't really have this type of access typically. I spoke about education, and so for us, it's very important to bring thought leaders to New York City Jewelry Week. We partner with the Museum of Arts and Design. We've been using the auditorium as a place to hold conversation. Getting people together on one stage that work across different genres is not as easy as it sounds. It's actually taking us a number of years to do this as well. So while the festival hosts, as I said, we have all different types of jewelry, but I really wanted to create a space where we can all sit together and kind of say, hey, what are you working on and how does this affect what I may be making? So, for example, this past year, we hosted a conversation about materials, because that's a conversation that I think everyone is having across the board, especially with the price of gold and silver being what they are. And so what I've been noticing actually is that there is a lot of, jewelers who might have been working with alternative materials, now working with precious materials and vice versa. So I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a conversation where we have all of these different individuals who can speak about their respective practices? And so here, for example, I had invited Jiro Kamada, who is a Japanese artist also based in Munich, to speak with Marla Aaron, who's a New York City-based jeweler, and Stephanie Wank of Sauer, a heritage Brazilian company, to really, and you would sort of think like, oh, these individuals have really nothing in common. They're all working in such different materials. They're reaching such different audiences. But in reality, the point of creativity is the same for all. And the things that may inspire these individuals, they may take inspiration from the same thing, but it's just how they approach their work might be slightly different. So that's what we've been trying to do, is really get people together to have these open conversations. We had a master pearl carver, Shinji Nakaba, come this past year as well. We focused on jewelry as adornment and fashion. So really also thinking about as I said, broadening the audience and making sure that we have, open forums for the conversations. We also build community by making. While we, as I said, are not a trade show, so we don't sell tools, we, don't offer classes per se, but we do welcome workshops because, through the act of making, people really connect. And so even if, I don't make jewelry, I'm a curator, but I know that when I'm sitting next to someone and I'm trying to bead something and they're trying to bead something, we strike up a conversation, right? We start talking about what we may be making. We talk about the things that we are inspired by, what we share a common passion for. And so we are really not only try to have workshops for young adults and children to really get them to learn how to make something, to build for them a love for jewelry making, but we also have hosted workshops for adults, and this is a brand called Don't Let Disco. And so while she sells fine jewelry and repurposes a lot of vintage beads, which she makes, herself jewelry from, but she also hosts these workshops where people can come together and make communally, and they've been quite successful. So again, gathering, thinking about how do we get people to sit down and share a conversation is very important. So I mentioned Here We Are, and this is our equity program. We have 3 awards that we that we give out. We have an exhibition award that's sponsored by David Yurman, and 100% of the money goes to the artist. As I mentioned, the festival is really built on these exhibitions, right? Really, that allows consumers to get an inside peek into somebody's practice. So it's very rewarding when we can help them financially create a space through which they can exhibit their work. And then we have 2 $1,500 awards that are given by Halstead to emerging designers, and they don't really have to do, they don't have to propose anything other than just let us know what this money will be used for. And I have to say that in past years, the applications have really focused on education. Most jewelers are using this money because they want to further their skills. But it's also been very rewarding when we have individuals who have won this award in the past, then come back the following year and go big, right? So this is an Indigenous artist who won our Emerging Award in 2024, and in 2025 they came back and actually curated an incredible exhibition of Indigenous artists. They self-published a catalog, and this was the first Indigenous exhibition that we had at New York City Jewelry Week. So one of the things that they had said to me was that this $1,500 award opened doors for them, and being part of the festival gave them confidence. And so to have them come back the following year and really create something that was so inspirational for so many other individuals is essentially what the festival is about. And they sold the work of Indigenous artists who may not necessarily have, had a platform before. So this is just a couple of more shots of that exhibition. As you can see, it was a really beautiful, well-curated exhibition that focused on storytelling, that focused on materials, on wearability. So we were very, very proud of that. And then, we also, for us, it's very important that we have emerging designers participate, that we give them, a platform and opportunities. So through through the One for the Future, which is our mentorship platform, we had invited a designer to showcase her work, and then she ended up inviting others to exhibit with her as well. This was hosted at an auction house called Heritage Auctions. So again, you see that it's the underlining thread here is craftsmanship. And just, beautiful work. This is just more sort of talks that support emerging designers. We want to make sure that there's open communication. If designers need support, they can learn from other designers as well. And then I mentioned the Discover page. So of course, not everyone can buy a ticket and come to New York. And I know that for designers, it's also cost prohibitive to come. Even if they live in New York, it's easier, of course. But if they don't, our website has been a really wonderful opportunity for them to be able to reach our audience. And so this past year, we had, for example, this designer, Cooper Hewitt. She first showed her work on our website, and then we were able to find her a space at a jewelry shop in downtown New York where she was able to show her work in person. So we're very mindful of that. We also use our social media to really be not only our #1 marketing tool, our other marketing tool is our website, because when you apply to be part of New York City Jewelry Week and when your exhibition gets accepted, our website essentially serves as the landing page for the entire festival. So our website has the schedule of events. You can RSVP for these events through our website. And then our social media is very much in support of that as well. But in the summer months, when the festival is not happening, we also host a virtual jewelry tour called the USA Jewelry Tour, where we highlight different designers across the US. And so I mentioned jewelry education. This is quite important for us. We want to keep the relationship and the conversation going with people who come to the festival. So throughout the year, we give them opportunities to sign up for courses. For us, it's very much about learning by seeing. So I lead these classes and we go visit designers, we go visit manufacturers, we go visit museums to learn about their collections. And we've now started taking jewelry trips as well. We're going to Rome this year, so that's pretty exciting. And also we've been, as New York City Jewelry Week, I've been invited to come and speak at international events, which allow us to, to speak about the festival and hope that people will come and visit. And we also, this past year, gave out an award at Goldsmiths Hall, at the Goldsmiths Fair, in London. And then this artist came and exhibited her work in New York. So that's pretty much about the festival. If you're interested in learning more, there's a QR code which will take you directly to our website so you can learn about last year's events. And then you can always follow us on social media and reach out to me with any questions via email as well. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there one question? If somebody, Muriel?
Merci, Laurent. Thank you, Bella. Thank you for your amazing presentation. I wish I can come next season.
That's the plan.
You work with B2C. So do you plan to also transform in B2B? Or do you have some retailers that also come to visit your event?
Yes, absolutely. So actually, we have a retailer right here who comes to our event. Just one example. Jessica runs Pistachio's Gallery. Yes, absolutely. So we don't plan to do B2B. Our consumers have always been, for us, the goal. Because I think that there are other events that exist like this. And also, I have to be honest with you, our goal is to sell jewelry. Now, we want to make sure that the individuals who come and participate in the festival really have an opportunity to meet other consumers, to meet buyers. But we also have retailers who come and use it as an opportunity to see what's happening and meet designers as well.
Thank you.
I hope I answered your question.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bella.
Thank you. Thank you so much. He wants to.